Hi, my name is Michael Masterson. I'm the CEO of Permission Machine, Inc. We are a free service that identifies and pursues copyright infringements on behalf of photographers. We're very proud to sponsor this video produced by photographer Mike Boatman to give you a step-by-step tutorial on how to register your own images. And Mike should know, his first copyright case dates back to 1983, and he has over 250,000 images registered with the USCO. And not one of those registrations has ever been challenged or voided either by the Copyright Office or an infringer's defense attorney. Mike himself learned from the best because he was part of a beta program at the Copyright Office where he was taught best practices on how to register published images. So Mike is a real evangelist for registration. He's spoken before the APA and other organizations about the importance of registering your images. Registration gives you the necessary tools to recover usage fees, rightfully yours, stolen by an infringer that are owed to you as the copyright owner and the creator of the image. So Mike will now show you how to do it for yourself. Take notes, and thanks for watching.
Hello, my name is Mike Boatman, and I'm going to make some assumptions that since you're here, you already know that the only way to stop an habitual copyright infringer is by copyright registering your work. Without the copyright registration certificate in hand, you're barred from filing a copyright litigation lawsuit. The habitual offender knows this, and they're taking full advantage of it. The majority of photographers out there do not copyright register their work, and therefore they have absolutely no leverage whatsoever to force a habitual copyright infringer to pay for stolen usage fees. I'm being pretty blunt here. I'm using some harsh words. A copyright infringer is stealing usage fees from you, the photographer. But they're not only stealing from you, they're stealing from your client as well. A recent case that occurred this year where the client, the photographer rights managed his work, did the assignment for the client posted the work in accordance with their branding and advertising. The work was stolen by a copyright infringer and used. The client filed copyright litigation against the infringer, and the case was thrown out of court. And it was rightfully so thrown out of court, and the grounds by which it was thrown out of court was the client didn't have standing to bring a copyright case. The client didn't own the copyrights, therefore they had no standing. As a photographer, if you rights manage your work, you're the only one that has leverage to stop copyright infringers. And like I said earlier, they're not only stealing from you, they're stealing from your client, and they're devaluing our entire profession. So anyway, I'm assuming you already know all this because you're here to learn about copyright registration. This video is more of a utilities type video. It goes into the nuts and bolts of exactly how to copyright register and how to prep your work. I go into great detail about the prep of the files you're going to need for copyright registration. Now, granted, you can't stop an infringer unless they're registered. I mean, yes, you can send a takedown notice, but that's not going to stop them from infringing somebody else's work. The ultimate goal as photographers, or anybody that wants to protect copyrights, is to change the risk-reward ratio for the abuser. If it becomes more financially feasible for them to purchase usage rights versus steal them or just simply take them, then they'll purchase it. This has been proven in the blogging industry, where a few years back bloggers were just taking images. I remember having a conversation with a nationally syndicated sports blogger who said point blank to me until somebody tells me I can't. I'm going to continue to take images. Well, it's up to us to tell infringers they can't. So anyway, I'm going to get back to the subject at hand, which is the purpose of this video. So this video is to teach you best practices on copyright registration. And part of best practices is the file prep. The file prep will really go a long way, and the organization of your file prep will go a long way to settling any copyright infringement case out of court in a very timely, fast manner. So the habitual copyright infringer knows that it's a strictly liability law, and you either used it or you didn't, and if you did, then you're guilty. The question is how much? How much are you going to pay? So the better organized your files are and the better structure you have on your prep work, which is going to be challenged at the very beginning of a demand letter process, this tells the infringer that you have all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, and it's a no-win situation for them. So their best option is to settle with you quickly and set this aside and move on to the next issue on their agenda. So anyway, that's the smart infringers. The less than smart infringers will push it further, and you may end up having to file copyright litigation. In that event, all copyright cases can only be heard in federal court. So that's like the major leagues. They're very, very meticulous about their procedures. So all this prep work creates a chain of custody for the federal court. So as you present that chain of custody initially to the infringer and they realize, oops, I've picked on the wrong person, then the next step is, if the infringer isn't smart enough to realize this, and you do have to file copyright litigation, then that chain of custody is intact for the federal court. They're happy. The copyright infringer's defense attorney is unhappy, and that's a great position to be in. So I want to teach you how to be in that position. And I'd like to, before we jump into this, I'd like to wrap up one more point and double back on what I was saying about the clients being stolen from also. My clients are now insisting that I copyright register my work and that I track infringements on their behalf. So as part of a service to my clients, and I tell them up front, I'm going to copyright register these, and if you desire, I will track any usages of these so that we can identify any infringements that damage your brand. In the event we do find those, I'll contact you and we'll proceed forward. But know this, client, in the event we do need to move forward, I will cover all the expenses on dealing with the copyright infringer, so this is a headache you don't need to worry about. My clients love that service added. This is something that is taken off of their plate, and I've actually won assignments over lesser priced qualified photographers because I offered this service. So anyway, just food for thought. But without any further ado, or without food for thought, this is just food for thought. Without any further bloviating from me, let's jump right into file prep and copyright registration. And I thank you in advance for registering your work.
So let's begin. I'm using Lightroom. It's my understanding that these same exact capabilities are available in Capture One. My first filter that I'm using is date. My second filter is camera, and then I do lens and labeling. I rarely ever use these second two. The purpose for the camera filter as my second filter is sometimes I have second shooters working with me on projects, especially when I'm working with a production of a ballet. Isolate just my photographs. So you're not allowed at the Copyright Office to register multiple photographers on a single application. One application, one photographer. My first filter is date. So I'm going to scroll down to 2021. I'm in April. So you've got a 90-day window to register your images from date of first publication. If I haven't mentioned it already, this application is for published works. I'm an advertising assignment photographer, just like most of you watching this. So all of my work is typically commissioned. I do very little self work, and when I do, that's for sale too. So anyway, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm not an attorney. I'm a photographer, so these are my opinions. Please do not consider this to be legal advice, and you don't have to have a law degree to register copyright. In fact, other people can register copyrights for the copyright owner. So you don't have to be an attorney to register somebody else's copyrights for them. You can be an individual person. So this is my individual photographer talk with you about how to copyright register. It is not legal advice. This is my system, how I do it. And you're welcome to develop your own system, or you can use my tried and true system, which I've got over 250,000 images registered at the Copyright Office, and not a single one of my applications has ever been rejected. All right, so now that we've got some of those qualifiers out of the way, let's get back to it. According to the copyright law, you are eligible for statutory damages and attorney fees for any infringement that occurs after the registration of the image, or infringement occurred within 3 months from first. If you registered the image within 3 months of first publication, it's the same as if the infringement occurred after the registration. So you're given a 3-month grace period in which to register your images that counts for the same as if they were registered prior to an infringement. So for example, I shoot the job, I deliver it to my client, we're into month 2, somebody steals the image and use it, so I register it at 2 months and 2 weeks. It's the same as if that infringement happened after registration. So you're entitled to attorney fees and statutory damages. So for my registrations, I register my images, or I attempt to register all of my images at 60 days. And I register 100% of what I shoot. So I've intentionally set aside this assignment, which was Cinderella. I think, was it Cinderella? Yeah, Cinderella. Performance of the Peoria Ballet. I photographed 2,078 images on Friday, and then on Saturday of the production I photographed 4,255. You can see that right here. So combined, that's over 6,000 images. Per a rule change a couple of years ago, the Copyright Office now limits the number of images per application to 750. Prior to this rule change, I would have put all 6,000 images on one application. But because of the rule change, I'm only allowed to put 750 images per application. So that changed my workflow slightly. I no longer register 100% of everything that I shoot. I register everything that my client sees, or that I show to my client. So that means I've got a star system. So I'm going to activate that now. It's actually doing it for the over 1 million images in my catalog. So you'll notice here I have a 1 star here, and this one is a 2 star, and here's some 1 stars over here. 1 star means that I showed it to my client. 2 stars means I delivered it to my client. And again, this is just my system. The layman's definition of the statute concerning published. So a layperson's understanding of published is like it was printed in the newspaper, it was printed in the magazine, it was posted on the website. That's not the legal definition of publish as established by the Copyright Office and case law. The statute in the Copyright Office or in the copyright law reads, the second you show it to another individual with intent of further distribution, the work is published. So that's the legal definition paraphrased. Case law says the second you deliver it to your client, the work is published. Or when you deliver it to another individual with intent of further distribution is published. So if you do books like a couple of my clients do, when you send it to your editor prior to the printing of the book, the second you send it to your editor by case law, it's published. But what if you show it to your editor prior to sending him the work or her the work? By technical definition of reading of the law, it's published. By case law, it's not. So there's some gray area there, and whenever there's a gray area, you give defense attorneys room to play. So I personally decide to err on the side of going with the actual reading of the law. So I'm on set, I'm shooting the ballet, the creative director is next to me. Occasionally I'll show him a couple of images so he sees how things are going. He can make improvements or suggestions. So by strict reading of the law, technically the second I show him the image on the back of my camera, I've shown the image to another individual with intent of further distribution. If I'm shooting a product shoot or an assignment for a magazine ad or a catalog page or e-commerce, quite often the art director or the creative director will want to review the image prior to us striking that set and moving to the next set. So technically, I've showed it to another individual with intent of further distribution. Legally, it's published. So for me, I use date of creation as my date of first publication. So that's the filter up here shows the date of creation. I've filtered to 1 star, so all of these images were shown to my client. This is, and quite possibly many of them were actually seen by my client at the time of creation. So the Copyright Office is not going to void your application if you're cheating yourself. So if, and what do I mean by cheating yourself? That 90-day window grace period. So if I created it on the 23rd, but I didn't deliver it to my client for a week later, then by case law, date of publication is that latter week. But if I'm registering these as published on the 23rd, I've cheated myself out of 1 week of grace period. If you did it the reverse, so you delivered it on the 23rd, but then you said it wasn't actually published until a week later, now you're gaining an extra week on the grace period. Your copyright application will indeed be voided. So if you gain time in that grace period with the dates of publication, you stand a good chance of being voided. But if you lose time, they're just going to ask you to make a correction, but the application is not going to be voided. So I'm very safe in using my date of creation as my date of first publication. So here's the prep work. I have filtered to the next assignment. there's 475 images here, so I'm going to put all of these plus 252 from the second day onto one application, and then the balance onto, well, the 252 on the same application as the 475, and then the balance on a second application. So I'm going to do a Control A to select all. I'm going to go down here to export. Alright, I'm going to choose a specific folder. So typically I would put these in my copyright folder. Let me bring that up real quick so you can see it. There we go. Okay. So here's in my archive system, here's my copyright registration folders. I'm into this folder, and this is where I would put the images. In fact, I've already done that prep work. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to export these images out into a separate folder, but it's going to end up looking like this. So these two folders, but we'll get back to that. All right, so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to put it in this folder here. Select folder, okay. And I'm going to put it in a subfolder. April, and the date of creation was the 23rd, and there were 475 images. So all of this information is going to be very important moving forward. So I try to be very redundant on my information and make it easier for me to find when I'm actually in the copyright ecosystem and doing that, doing the registration. I have a filing name scheme specifically made for the copyright registration, and here it is. This is the first part of this is what my camera generated at the time of creation. The second is the date of first publication, or also the date of creation. The key here is this 8343. So the Copyright Office and your legal team need a unique identifier that ties the copyright deposit image to the image you delivered to your client to the original raw image that you photographed. So you need a unique identifier that's a constant that goes from the created image all the way through the life of that image and into the Copyright Office. So that would be this number here, 8343, for this specific image on this specific date. So I have to include the date because our cameras roll over at 10,000, and I produce more than 10,000 images a year. So, but I've never produced 10,000 images in a single day. All right, so let me scroll on down. It needs to be a JPEG, so there's specific file types that are acceptable. JPEG is one of them. It can be compressed. You can compress the stew out of this. All the Copyright Office wants is it to be recognizable. The size, and by compressing it, you're going to make the upload to the Copyright Office shorter and easier. All right, the size can be basically thumbnail size, so I've got it set at 800 by 800 pixels long, side, or height. All right, so like I was saying, the Copyright Office really doesn't care about this size here, the 800 by 800. It could be 1200 by 1200, 2400 by 2400. You're only dealing with size and upload time. But the Copyright Office does have a limit on the size of the folder that can be uploaded. It's set at 500 megapixels, so you have to keep your overall deposit folder size below 500. So anyway, so that's another reason why I keep this around 800. All right, so over here at resolution, we're at 72. That is mandated. The Copyright Office does indeed mandate that the resolution size be 72. Now we're going to scroll down here, and I have multiple copyright watermarks already set up, because as I'll demonstrate, I'll have multiple files exporting out for copyright registration, and then you just can't go in and change the watermark, because if the first set of exports isn't completed and you change the watermark here, then it's going to apply that to the balance of the images going into that folder. Alright, so anyway, let me just, oh, wrong one. Let me go there. Sorry. There's a little window that's just off view. Now I'm going to edit watermark right there. Alright, so this is currently optional. When I was in the beta program, it was not optional, it was mandatory. It was mandatory that you had your formal copyright notice and date of first publication imprinted on the image. This is no longer mandatory, but it's still a really good idea. And because it was mandatory at one time, who's to say it won't be mandatory again in the future? If it's already built into your workflow, you don't have to learn something new. The other thing this does for you is best practice, in my opinion, when you're sending images off to Permission Machine for them to search for infringements, is to send them your deposits to the Copyright Office. This way you're guaranteed that when they find an infringement, it is registered. Second thing is, if this is imprinted in the search image, then it makes it super easy to locate the copyright certificate associated with this image. And if you're uploading images prior to getting your certificate in hand, then you're not going to have a certificate copyright registration number yet. You're only going to have a service number. So we'll go over that in detail later. But just know that although this is optional by the Copyright Office, it is very helpful for the defense of your copyrights, and I highly recommend that you continue to put this type of watermark on the face of your image that's going to be part of your copyright deposit. So the date of creation and the date of first publication for the batch that I'm working on was the 23rd. Alright, and so now I'm going to go up here and update this particular watermark. Okay, sorry about that. It was the 23rd. Now I'm going to go update the watermark. Update. Alright, now I'm done. Alright, so I've got the correct watermark ready to go on these. Size is correct. It's going into a subfolder with the date and the number of images, so I'm going to hit export. You can see that it's already built the folder in my temporary over here, which we're using as an example because I've already actually done this work in my regular copyright registration file. So okay, so let's go to the second day here. Now I know it's already a filter still in place, so it's out of the 6,000 or 4,000 images, I showed 900 of them to my client, and I'm going to scroll down and do a little hunt and peck to come up with 252 because I know that's really where I want to be. I'm doing a shift click to select as I roll those numbers up, and I'm watching this number right here. Magic number I'm looking for is 252. Getting really close. Should be right there. Alright, 252. Now I'm going to export these. This was I'm going to put them in a subfolder. Backspace. These were the 24. There's 252 of them. All the rest of this stays the same. We're going to change the mark, otherwise update that watermark. Edit watermark. Okay, so April 24th, this is one that I'd already done, so we're good. Export. And you see now that it's going in here. Here's my progress bar. And you can do this as part of your standard workflow when you deliver it to your client. Just do a second export out for the Copyright Office. All right, so now that we've got that second folder going, we're going to start on the third. I'm going to scroll over to the first image. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and highlight that. We're going to put them in a new folder, but the date of creation was the same, so I'm only going to change the number of images going into that folder. Our copyright watermark should be good to use the same one, but it's always prudent to double check it. Before I export, let me double check it. We're going to go down, edit watermark. It is still good, so I don't need to do anything, so I'm going to hit done. Now I'm exporting. I guess I want to. And as you can see, our third folder is now populating. So as this is working, let's go have a cup of coffee or a beverage of choice and come back when they're done. See you in a few.
Our next step is to create 3 Word doc files that are going to be used to populate the required Excel sheet and to fill in content title boxes and other things. So let's get busy on that.
Okay, so my last folder is still exporting, but we can go ahead and move on to the next step of building our ingredients. We're going to work with this folder here, but it may be helpful for me to show you where we're going to want to end up. So these are my actual folders that are in my copyright registration. Let me bring this up. So we need a text file that shows us the entire content of what's in this folder. From that, we're going to generate 3 other text files, all dealing with the content. So this is substantially easier if you're on a Mac, but if you're not on a Mac, it's somewhat complicated. So we're going to start here. We need to navigate inside pardon me. We need to navigate inside the actual folder. We're going to click up here in this and we're going to type CMD. Enter. That's going to bring up the DOS window. And then once we're in the DOS window, we're going to type a code. So the code is dir/B > dot or the period txt. Enter. Notice we have a text file here. It just appeared. Close. We're going to open up the text file. It's generated in WordPad, and there is what we're looking for: a text of all the titles of the content of that folder. We're going to need this for our Excel sheet and to generate content title blocks. So we need a clean one. We don't need the text in there because there is no file in here named text. We're going to move that up because we can't have any spaces. So now this list represents my file names. And that's going to be, you're going to need the file names for the mandatory Excel sheet that goes with your copyright registration. So we're going to rename this. We're going to save it as. We're going to put it in that folder. And we're going to name this file names April 23, comma 2021. Save. Let me slide this over this way. Scroll down, and there it is. So we have that. Okay, so now that we have our file names, we're going to go to Edit, Find and Replace. We're going to replace the 81M underscore, copy, paste. We're not going to replace it with anything. We're just going to get rid of it. So replace all. What I'm doing is I'm creating a text file for what will become my titles for each image. And as I spoke earlier, this 4-digit number plus the date needs to stay constant. As well, this 4-digit number needs to stay constant because it's associated with my raw image, and the date here added into the title makes it unique for that specific image, because I'm never going to shoot more than 10,000 images. Well, to date I've never shot more than 10,000 images in a single day. The day that I do that, I'll have to come up with something new for my titles. So now I'm going to grab this portion here, Control C, paste it in my Find and Replace, and I need to make this shorter because the fewer spaces, characters and spaces that are represented in the title, which is going to go into a title box, the shorter that is, the more images I can upload in that title box per each time. It'll make complete sense when we actually do it. So I'm going to shorten that to April. I'm going to get rid of the space. I'm going to use an underscore. I'm going to keep the date. And I'm going to get rid of the JPEG. And I'm going to replace the JPEG with a semicolon and a space. Replace all. I don't need this any longer. File, save as. And this is going to be my titles of work. All right, so in the Copyright Office, work is whatever you're registering. So for us photographers, when they say work, it's also images. So it's the title of my images, but in the Copyright Office, your images are referred to as works. Save. All right, so now I need to switch to my other computer. So this is my graphics computer. And the next step that I need to do, I'll have to do on my office computer because I don't have Word or Outlook on my graphics computer. So we can close that. There those two are. The third thing we need is the, like I said, the title boxes. And I do that in Word. You're probably saying, what in the world is content title block and why do I need it? Let me show you. All right, so in the copyright ecosystem, when we go in there to do our registration, well, let me back up before a second. This is a PDF of one of my copyright registrations. So this is the service number I talked about earlier, this 1-840-378-9191, and it's assigned when you start the application. Once the application's been approved and your images are registered, you're given a copyright registration number, this VA number up here. So here's the copyright certificate. There's the copyright registration. There's the effective date of registration. The effective date of registration is going to be the day that you upload the images, your deposits. and pay your money to the Copyright Office. So each copyright application costs $55 per application, which you can put 750 images on. So that comes out to a little less than 8 cents per image. So here's my title of the work. Here's my title of the application. The number of images that I'm registering, 416. And these are the title blocks. So the shorter you can make the title of the work, the more images you can put on per block. So this application I was able to took 5 pages to get all the title blocks in. So here's a title block. You can see has quite a few. So my titles are pretty short, so I was able to get more images on there. A title needs to be a semicolon space configuration, so you have to have a semicolon and a space between each title. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with the title of works folder. We're going to bring that up. We're going to do a Control A to select all and a Control C to copy all. Now I'm going to bring up Word. Control V to paste all. Notice it's 19 pages. It's put all of them. Alright, let me just close that because we don't need it any longer. So it's put them all in a vertical single column. We're going to go to Find and Replace. And this is a beautiful hack that my copyright attorney taught me. I'm not sure what this is called, but there is above the 6 key is that little symbol there. So you're going to put that in lowercase p. It won't work with an uppercase, lowercase p. And we're just going to we're going to place it with a space. And what this is going to do is going to take all of these and turn them into paragraph form. It says there's 475 words, which matches up with how many images I have over here. Notice we have 3 files over here that aren't images, so if I subtract 3 from 478, I'm at 475. So this is good. So we can close this now. We're going to scroll up to the top. So we're at 3 pages, and we have to break this down into blocks of text no larger than 1995 characters and spaces, because that's the maximum amount of text that will go in the text title box for content titles in the ecosystem portal website. So it's a little bit of a hunt and peck. I'm going to go to about there. I'm going to use the review process up here, and I'm going to go over here to word count. And it says my characters with spaces is 2,160. So that's too large. So I'm going to do a shift click. I have to close this first. Shift click. Look again. I'm at 1890, so I can do a little bit more. You could stop there if you wanted to, but I'm going to try to max out as much as I can. I'm at 1980, so that's where I'm going to stop. That's below the magic number of 1995. This represents 110 images. Now this is the second time I've done this, so when we switch over to the later videos, that number may be different. It may not be. The first time I recorded this particular video, apparently the audio didn't take, so I'm re-recording it. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're putting a cursor there, creating triple space, coming back in, 110 images. And you're going to need this information when we go to fill out that content title box. So now we're going to scroll down. We're going to do the same thing. I think it's going to be about there. I'm a little shy. Let's go 2 lines. That was a shift click to add those extras. We're there. Good. And that was also 110 images. This is just kind of like rinse and repeat. We hit it right on the money. We're still looking for that magic number. We're good. 110 images. One of the titles right here was a letter longer. That's why our spaces and count was different. 110 images. And we have a balance of 35. Images. Now I'm going to break out my calculator. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 110 times 4 plus 35 equals 475. Pardon me. Which is exactly what we need. Pardon me again. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to do a save as, browse. That's in. This is the folder we're working in. We're going to call this April 23 underscore 2021 title box underscore April 475 underscore. Okay, so this is our title box for April 23 with 475 images. We're saving it in our folder. Let's double check the folder we're saving it. Yep, we're saving it in this folder. Save. Close. So here it is. There it is right there. So we have our file names, our title box that we're going to use to copy and paste our content titles into the title box at the ecosystem, and our titles of work that we're going to use to populate our Excel sheet, and this one will also be used to populate our Excel sheet. Alright, let's just do this next one real quick. Okay, so we're in the folder. We don't have any word text at all. So let's generate our word text real quick. CMD, enter. Brings up our DOS window. dir slash capital B greater than dot txt, enter. There's our text file. Close. Let's open up our text file. We're going to clean this up by getting rid of that. getting rid of the space. Now we're going to save this. Save as. We're going to save this as file names April 24 252 images. Save. Now we're going to clean this up for our content titles, or for the titles of our work. Copy, edit. I'm going to find and replace. By copying it, it's still there. We're replacing it with nothing. Replace all. Now we're going to grab all of this, copy, Control V, APR 24 underscore 2021 semicolon space. Replace all. There we go. We can close that. There it is. We're going to save this as our save as titles of work April 24 underscore 2021 space 252 images. Save. Now we're going to do a Control A, Control C. We're going to bring Word back up. Control V. We're going to go up here to, let's go ahead and close that because we don't need it any longer. We're going to do a find and replace. The little symbol above the 6, somebody can email me and tell me what its name actually is. Lowercase p. And we're going to replace that with a space. Replace all. 252, which matches up with how many images I have in here, which is fabulous. We don't need this any longer. We need to break it down into our 1995 characters plus spaces, so we're going to go to review, do a little hunt and peck. Word count, too big. That was a shift click. There we go, 110 images. It's inside our margin. Click our cursor there, create some space, 110. I think the slowest part of this process for me is my typing. Word count, missed it by several. Still, I knew it should have gone with 3 lines. Ah, we're still off. Okay. There we go. 110. Space, space, space. 110. Images. Word count 32. Break out our calculator again just to double check. 110 plus 110 plus 32 equals 252, which is exactly what we need. File, save as. Let's just do a shortcut. We'll go here, backspace it to there. That's the folder we want to be in. This is going to be title box April 24, 2021, 252 images. Save. Let's live brave. Close. Scroll down. There it is. So we have our 3 folders here. So you get the gist. That was fairly quick and painless. We'll move on to the next step. Okay, we're going to build our Excel sheet, which is a required document by the Copyright Office. Before we go there, we're going to give it a temporary name, which will make sense in a moment because they require the service number to be part of the title of the Excel sheet, and we don't have that yet. That's going to be generated by the Copyright Office. So, but we want to go ahead and build the Excel sheet so it's done. This way we have all of our ingredients ready to go before we go to the Copyright Office web portal to register. So the Copyright Office provides us with a template Excel sheet to follow. So I've downloaded that, and it's in my master folder, my master copyright folder. Okay, we're back. This is going to be a really fast video. What I want to accomplish here is to show you where to get that Excel template and to show you the portal that we'll be entering to register your applications. Alright, so this is the main page for the Copyright Office. It is a copyright.gov. It's not .com, it's not .net, it's .gov. So anyway, there you go. We're going to scroll down to register your works. Click Learn More. This is where we're going to enter the portal to actually register the images and complete the application. Before you do that, you're going to need to set up an account with the Copyright Office, and you're going to need the template that we used, that Excel template. So scroll further down the page, go over here to Photos, click Learn More, and here is the template that's required for published works, and that's what we're working on, is published works. If you have the luxury of registering before you publish, then you would use this template here, but we are been using this template. This is where you get it. You click it, put a little check mark in the save box to save it to your computer and use it as your master template. Let me open it up just so you can see it.
So now that we've downloaded and saved the Excel template from the Copyright Office, you can follow along with me as I fill it out. So let's get busy on that.
I'm going to temporarily move this over out of the way so I can get our other files up that we need. So we're going to start here. I hit the keyboard shortcut N to go to the bottom, and we're going to start with this. We know that there are 474 images represented by these content titles, so we're going to do a Control A, Control C, bring this back in. Oh, why did everything disappear? Come on back up. Come on back up. Here we go. So we're going to click there, Control V, and it populates here, it populates here. There should be 475 images, and indeed there are, so we're good. Bring my WordPad back up. So we're done with our content titles. Now we're going to go to our file names. Control A, Control C. Here it says file names. We're going to scroll back up to the top, line 1, Control V, and that should match right up with the bottom, and it does. So it highlights in yellow stuff that's missing. So now we need the date and year. We don't need the day, we only need the date and year. So the date, the month and year, we don't need the day, we only need the month and the year. So this was April. That would be the 4th month, so 04/2021. Enter. Now this goes to green, meaning all is good. We're going to click here again. We're going to scroll down. We're going to shift click on this bottom one right here. We're going to go right up here to where it says file, or fill, sorry. Fill down. So now we have all green. So we're going to click here. Slide this over so I can get a hold. So we're done with this file. I'm going to close it. We're going to go back up to the master folder here. We know that these two are going to be in one application. This is going to be in a second application. So we're going to click here, open that up, and we need our content titles. Control A, Control C. Bring our Excel sheet back over. Control V. And let's just do some quick math because we know there's 252. 252 plus 475 equals 727. So we should be, if everything is correct, on row 727. We're going to scroll down, and indeed we are. So everything is balancing. See, the Copyright Office likes everything nice and neat. We're going to click here for the file names. We're done with that one. Slide this over. We're going to bring up our file names. Control A, Control C. Bring our Word doc back up. Control V. We're going to scroll down just to confirm it ended where it was supposed to end. And indeed it did. And those things in yellow mean it's not completed yet. So we're going to go back up. We know that these were created and published in the same month. So we don't need to change anything. So all we need to do is click there, scroll down, shift click, go up here to our fill down. Everything is green. So our Excel sheet is completed. All it needs is the proper title now for the Copyright Office. So we're going to bring this up. We're going to close that. We're going to file, save as, copyright registration. We're just going to save it in this same folder with these other files. And we're going to give it a new name because we're doing a save as, and this is going to be April 23rd and April 24th, comma, 2021. April 23rd and April 24th, 2021, 727 images. So that's how many images we're putting on this application. Save. Okay. Close. There we go. So that represents those. And now we're going to do this one real quick. But first we got to go back to our template. Bring up our template. Now we go and we're going to do this guy. Slide down to our titles. Control A, Control C, Control V. We should scroll down. We should be at 707, and indeed we are. We're going to click there. We're done with this one. We're going to close it. Now we're going to go to our file names. Control A, Control C. Click on line 1, Control V. It should have ended at the 707. Indeed it did. We're good. We're done with that one. We're going to close it. We're going to click here. 04/2021. Enter. Click there. Shift click. Autofill down. Boom. This Excel sheet is now ready, except for having the proper title. We're going to give it a temporary title, the same as we did the other one. Save as. Let's go there. And we are going to save this one as April 24, 2000. I don't know if we can do commas in titles. Underscore. I guess we can. It took it on the other one. Comma. Space. 2021. 707. Images. And we're going to put a underscore here just because I'll do that on that one. We're saving it there. Save. We can now close it. Let's go back to here, and now we have all of our ingredients, and we are now ready to finally go to the Copyright Office to register over 1,400 images. This is where we're going to log into the copyright portal. When you create your account, you're going to need a username that never changes and a password. And they're very particular about their passwords. So, and heads up, you're going to have to change this password every 6 months. So, and it can't, when you change your password, it cannot contain any of your legal name, and you can't reuse parts of the old password in the new password. So it's fun coming up with new passwords every 6 months. So anyhow, when we come back, we will log in and register our copyright registration for the Peoria Ballet that we've been working on. Thank you. Okay, we're back at the home page, and let's register some images. I'm going to scroll down. Click here. We're going to log in. It will. Okay, we're good with that. There's my username. There's my password. Log in. Okay, so now we're in the portal. We're going to scroll down here, register a group of photos. This is where we're going to click and what we're going to do. Okay. Group of published. So in this one we could either register a group of published photos or a group of unpublished photos. So we're going to start registration. Now you'll see here's the case number. We've been assigned a case number. We need to tell them what type of photos we're registering, either published or unpublished. We're doing published. You need to read the qualifiers for it to be published, which I've read a few hundred times. And okay, I've read that. Continue. This is where we give it the title. See, over here you've got a running checklist. So we're going to create a new title. This initial title is extremely important and technical. You may recall that from the pilot program they gave me a template to follow for my titles, my application titles. So I'm going to use some voice recognition software to help me here because I'm an extreme dyslexic and it really needs to be correct. Okay. Group registration photos, comma, by Mike, Boatman. Comma, published April 23rd and April 24th, 2021, semicolon, 727 photos, full stop. So I was reading that second part right off my Excel sheet here. So see how easy it made it to find that pertinent information. Okay, now it's going to ask for the number of photos in the, well, let me back up a little bit. This first keyword right here where it says group registration, the keyword here is group. That's a legal term, and so is collection. So you can't say a collection of photos. You must say group of photos. If you say collection, pardon me, if you say collection of photos, then the collection becomes the work, and all the photos are a part of one work. So if you say group, then all the photos have their own individual copyright registration. If you say collection, all the photos are part of one work, which is one copyright. So statutory damages. Each work is eligible for statutory damages if it's registered prior to the copyright infringement or within the 90-day window. Each work is registered for statutory damages. As a group registration, each individual photo is a work. As a collection, all the photos represent one work. So if you use the word collection there instead of group, then all your photos are considered one work, and you're only entitled to one statutory damages. So if you're awarded $10,000 for statutory damages and you had 100 photos in there, then each photo is worth $10. So hate to belabor that point, but that's a super important word right there, and I need to take time so that we fully flush that out. Number of photos in the group. $727. So the program's going to remember this number, and everything's going to be keyed on it. Year of completion, 2021. Earliest publication date in group. So what was the earliest date that a single one of these images was published? Was 04/23/2021. Latest date of publication of group. Now I'm getting all of this information from right here that I created in the title. Okay. Nation of first publication. That would be the United States. Save. Group registration photos by Mike Boatman, published April 23rd and April 24th, 2021. 727 photos. Okay, so there. Now we're going to go back to, now this is super critically important. We're going to do our content titles now. So you click on New, and it brings up this dialog box. I'm going to bring this back over so you can see it. We're going to go into my 475 photos. We're going to scroll down to the bottom. We're going to bring up my Word box. I'm going to move this off camera. I'm going to bring this right over here where I can see it. Make it a little bit smaller so that it will fit in my recording window. I'm going to hang part of it off the edge so I can easily bring it back up. Okay, so now, number of photos entered in this section, maximum 750. Well, we're going to enter here's where we enter the titles, or the content titles of each photo, and it has a maximum character and spaces limit of 1,995. So we're going to take we have 505 photos in this block. $505. Month was April. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. Save. So now see, it added the line here, and there's our content titles. 505. Continue. No. I'm sorry. Let me go back. Error. See how that errored out? Error. The number of individual photos does not match the number in the group. I got you. We want to go back. That's what happens if these numbers here don't add up to that number there. I got a little carried away. Sorry about that. But I guess that was good because it showed us. Alright, so our next group also has 105. April. Bring that back up. Control C. Control V. Periodically, I like to double check that last number matches up with that last number, and it does. Save. 105. New. Our next group has 100 in it. April. Control C. Control V. Save. Our next group has 105. New. April. Copy, paste. Let's double check that last number. 0055, 0055. Last group has 60. Save. New. $60. April. Control C, Control V, save. Okay, so that one is completed. We can close that. Bring this back over. Now we got to go down here for our next. Bring up our word title for these 252 images. There we go. We can close that. Bring this over. Come on, up. Okay, so new 88. April. Copy. V. Save. New. 88. April. Copy. V. Save. 76. New. Copy. V. Save. All right, so if we did everything correct, all of these will add up to that wonderful number there, and it will allow me to continue, and I won't get that error message. Continue. Haha, we did it correctly. All right, so we're done with these. I'm going to close that and get rid of it. All right, so once you fill in your names, everything with an asterisk you have to fill in. So once you've done that, you can save it as a template, and then it will autofill. So I've already done this, so I'm going to say add me. Boom, there I am. All logged in, and the citizen is United States. There we go. Oh, is this author's contribution a work for hire? No. Continue. Claimant. Add me. So this is all my contact information. Okay. Save. Continue. Rights and permission. Who has the authority to give rights and permissions for these works? Add me. Here's all my information repopulated again. Continue. Correspondence. If the Copyright Office has an issue or someone wants to contact you concerning the rights of your images, who should they contact? Me. So, auto-populated. Continue. Who do we mail the certificate to? Well, I'd like you to mail it to my cousin Jody, but no, we're going to add me. Let's send it to me. And no, I don't have a cousin named Jody. All right, continue. So add me, add me, add me, add me. Continue. Special handling. Do not touch anything on this page unless you are instructed to do so by your attorney. If you touch anything on this page, the copyright registration goes from $55 to up over $800. So just very gently hit continue without touching anything on that page. Certifications. I certify I am the author and claimant and owner of exclusive rights and the author agent or the author agent. So a non-attorney or an attorney can do the copyright registrations for you. They only have to be your authorized agent. The Copyright Office was telling me when I asked them if I could do the registration for other people, they said yes, absolutely. We have this happening all the time, especially if the original artist is disabled or has had a medical situation where a family member does it. You can have an employee fill this out and send it in for you. So, but here I am the owner, so I'm certifying that. Name of certifying person, me. All right, now file name of required numbers list. Okay, so this is where we have to enter the file name of that Excel sheet. So we're temporarily going to go back up. Oh, where'd it go? I must have closed it. I've got to bring the my folder back up. Archives. Copyright registrations. We're in this folder. Okay, so now this is the Word one we need, but we need to change its name. We're going to give it its permanent name now. We're going to rename it. I'm going to put my cursor in front. 1-1-0-5-8-2-8-5-7-9-5-1 underscore. Okay, so the case number, your service number, must be part of the name of your Excel sheet. So we're going to double check 0-1 1058 285 285 7951. Now I'm going to click here, highlight the whole thing, and copy it. And I'm going to paste it right there. So that title of the Excel sheet gives the Copyright Office all that interlocking information. How many photos there are, the dates, the date range when it was published. That also corresponds with the title of the work that I gave it. Okay, so I don't have an optional tracking number, so I'm good. So I'm going to hit continue. This is the review portion. You get to look over everything and make certain everything is correct. So work for hire, no. Mike Boatman, yes. There's all my contact information. There's the required list. So everything looks good. We're going to add to cart. So this is the one, my cost is going to be $55. When I click here, it's going to take me away from the Copyright Office. I'm going to pay with my credit card. So now it's telling me that it's going to take me away from the Copyright Office to do that payment. That's new, but okay. I'm going to pay with my debit or credit card. Continue. Alright, so at this point I'm going to end the video, and then I will come back and we will finish the copyright registration. I simply don't want to share with you my credit card information. So thanks. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, all the documentation and my credit card information has been filled in, and the payment was successful. So now we're going to hit continue, and it brings me right back into this page here. This is where we're going to upload our files. I believe I closed the pertinent file. I did. Let me read. Oh, no, I didn't. There we go. Let's bring that back up. Okay, so the files we're going to upload is this one and this one. So we're going to click here. Oh, let's go back. We're going to send that to compress zip. So you can upload zip files. And we're going to upload that one. Send to compress zip. Okay, so let me open up a second folder real quick. So you see these folders here? Those are my actual deposits sent to the Copyright Office. So we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to name it, well, actually, let's just name the folder this. Rename, copy, rename, V. We don't need that information. Just to shorten it up. And here we're going to designate that this is the deposit. Okay. There we go. So this is going to be my deposit to the Copyright Office. And in it, we're going to move all this information. There we go. Let me just move this off over here. Move this over here. Okay, we're going to select the files. Copyright registration. Here's our folder we just made for April. It includes the Excel sheet which is required. Okay, so it says once I start this upload, I can't stop it or reverse it, but I don't want to. Start.
Okay, there was an error on that upload, and I ended up having to call the copyright office, their tech support. They're really good at answering the phone and giving you the tech support that you need with the ecosystem. It turns out that with some large zip files, it's best to upload the zip files one at a time. Where I had grabbed both and uploaded them simultaneously, the system, for some reason, which this is the first time I've ever had that happen to me, decided it didn't like me doing that. So I ended up having to clear that out and re-upload those files one at a time. So anyhow, so now we're going to jump to the second copyright registration upload, which went substantially smoother. And I believe I'm going to do the second copyright registration in real time without me talking too much, so you can see the actual time required. So anyhow, so let's get started on that second application.
I'm about to log back in to do the second application. So we click there again, we click here, we acknowledge that. My username autofills. I'm going to copy and paste my password. Give me 1 second while I grab it off screen. Log in. No, we're not going to save it. Okay. So this is the one. It's successfully done. That's the case number we just finished. And we're about to do our second one. Registrate a group of photos. There we go. Start registration. I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker so you can get a sense of real time. And again, I'm going to use my voice recognition software. Group registration photos, comma, by Mike Boatman. Comma, published April 24th, 2021. Semicolon. 707 photos, full stop. Now we're doing our content titles. We're bringing up our Word file. Okay. I believe that was 110. I'll double check it when I go back. $110, yep. Copy. V. Save. New. 110 again. Copy. V. April. Save. So the first one was 2202. First one was 2202, so we got the correct ones there. Next batch is 110. Ending in 3206. Control C. New. V. Ending in 3206. April. 110. Save. New. Next batch is also 110, ending in 3674. Control C. V, ending in 3670. Pretty sure it was 3674. It is 3674. Okay, we're going to just backspace all that out. For some reason it didn't show up as 3674. There's 3674. Copy. V. Okay, we're just gonna Control A on that, backspace. Gonna go back. There, Control C, Control V. April. Just going to go up here under review real quick. Word count. Yeah, it's in the correct size. I'm just going to make the assumption that they all copied and I'm just not seeing that number there. I'm going to assume, well, I'm not going to. I'm going to make certain it's there. Copy. Control V. Now I know it's there. Oh, okay. It's there. Save. Okay, so apparently new. Always fun. does that look longer? Oh, did I make a mistake? Yes, I did. Okay. So we're going to do a Control Z over here. That put everything back like it was supposed to. We're going to redo that line because it Control C to copy it. Let's move this out of the way so I can see it for a second. Control V, April, okay. So we've done 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So this is the one we're working on. Copy. New. Sorry about that. 110. April. Control V. Save. Okay, got it. New. Copy. V. April. Copy. New. Copy. $47. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus 47. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we should be good. Just move this over here. Let's hit continue, and if it all adds up, it will let me move to the next screen, which it did, so we're good. Don't save. There we go. Okay, we're going to add me. This is not a work for hire, and I'm a citizen of the United States. Continue. Claim it. Add me. Save. Continue. Add me. Continue. Add me. Continue. Add me. Continue. Don't touch. Don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. Continue. Certify. I'm the certifier. Auto-populate. Okay, now we've got to put in the Excel file. Remember, I have to rename this. Rename 1-10585 137 451 1 105 851 851 374 59. Okay. Copy. Control V. Continue. Now we're into review. All that looks good. It's not a work for hire. Rights and permissions are me. Correspondence are me. Mail certificate to me. Special handling 0. I'm Mike Boatman's the certifier. There's the required Excel sheet name. Add to cart. Checkout. Pay with credit. OK. I'm paying with that. Continue. OK, I will come back in just a moment. Alrighty, so we're back now from paying for the bill and we're ready to upload files. Oh, did I close that folder? There we go. Okay, so here's the, come back here. Sometimes I hate Microsoft. Okay, so I've already created my zip folder and I've created this folder. But I need to make my deposit folder. I'm copying that name, creating a new folder. Control V. This is my deposit folder. Open it up. I've already created my zip file of the 700 images. We're done with that. Okay, now we're going to select open it up. Open. Okay, so the maximum size file you can upload is 500 megabytes. So we're well below that. We're going to start the upload. And we see the progress bar right there, but let's see if we error out on this one. Hopefully we won't. If we do error out, what the Copyright Office told me to do was to go to the home page and then click on the service number, which will bring us back into a clean screen here and upload them, the zip folders one at a time. But it looks like it's uploading pretty cleanly. So I will just chat with you guys for a few moments while this uploads so that you can see what the ending screen looks like. Because you're going to get a confirmation that it successfully uploaded. They're also going to send you an email once everything is uploaded stating that they received your deposit. Now, we've talked about the date of effective registration. So the date of effective registration for these images is today. So once the Copyright Office checks everything and issues you a certificate, it's backdated to the date that they received the images. So if you're mailing them in, the effective date of registration is when they receive it. So we're doing this electronically, so the effective date of registration is today, because once I get confirmation that they've received this zip file, then it's in their hands now. So any infringements of these images after today's date are eligible for statutory damages. And if there had been any infringements prior to today's date, but after I created them and delivered them to my client, because I'm inside the 90-day window grace period, those would also be eligible for statutory damages. So we're really close. We're getting there. I have a pretty fast internet connection, so that's always good. Okay. Successfully uploaded. Successfully uploaded. Once you click here, it's all done. So we're done.
Recently, I was chatting with another photographer on the phone about copyright registration, and he asked a very interesting question, having just watched my 2-hour video. Is it worth it? Absolutely. First and foremost, by copyright registering and enforcing your copyrights, you are changing the risk-reward ratio for copyright infringers. It becomes more profitable for them to lease the work or to hire a photographer than it is to steal the work. This creates more assignments for all of us. If your work is not registered, you have no leverage whatsoever to force compensation for what was stolen from you. No leverage financial, no leverage. Well, you have no leverage, period. I mean, you can send a takedown notice, but there's no financial compensation associated with the takedown. You're just telling the infringer stop using it, but you haven't forced the infringer to pay you for what they've already used. If the work is not registered and you try to enforce the copyrights in a demand letter situation, you're relying on the goodwill of a thief. That just doesn't seem logical to me. Rely on the goodwill of a thief. Okay. I don't think that's going to fly for you. It hasn't flown for me in the past. So, dollars and cents. If the work is copyright registered, the range of return, in my experience, has been 4 figures to 5 figures per image. Figure 5 figures per image for 18 images, that's a lot of money. But it's pretty comparable with exactly what I would have charged had they commissioned me in the first place. So this is not a windfall for us photographers. We're being compensated for what was stolen. And yeah, it's worth it. It's provided for my family. The recovery of stolen usage fees has provided for my family. I would much rather be shooting. That's where my love is. That's what I do. But I won't be shooting if copyright infringers are left unchecked. So I hope you join me in defending our profession.